third platform in IT, I think, is best summarized up as mobile and big data and social and Internet of Things all coming together to not only understand the behavior of people and machines, but actually be able to respond to them in as real-time enough manner that you can actually start to meaningfully affect the outcomes. The shift to the third generation platform is driven largely by enterprises realizing, on the one hand, that they have an opportunity for new sources of revenue. Conversely, unless they do something about it, they're probably going to face competition from people who are exploiting the opportunities.
So what we try and do is help our customers transition their business, their IT, from the second platform to the third platform, drive efficiencies in their second platform applications, and build brand new third platform apps. Those apps require new infrastructure, a new way of doing business, and a new way of doing computing and IT. So we've set the Federation up as a group of 4 brands in 3 companies, strategically aligned, but each enabled to go and pursue their own mission. Starting at the application layer, we have the newest member of the Federation, Pivotal, helping customers build big data, fast data applications in the cloud, mobile, and social world.
You need to build experiences for your customers, instrument the hell out of those experiences, capture all that data, reason over it, and then immediately use those insights to affect the experience or the business model.
Then we have VMware that's building out the software-defined data center layer.
The software-defined data center is a transformational opportunity. It allows them to not just have a layer of virtualization against the hardware, giving it more choice, flexibility, and agility, but it also enables them to retool the IT shop. Instead of heavy processes, they now have automated portals and self-service portals that allows them to repurpose their staff to focus more on new technologies that enable more business value far more quickly.
We have the EMC information infrastructure business that's focused upon the core part of our business of storage and information protection, but also increasingly focused upon converged infrastructure as the new way that these technologies are going to be consumed.
We're seeing a very powerful trend that customers prefer to buy that converged infrastructure solution as the fastest way to enable and deliver the software-defined data center.
And also within EMC information infrastructure, we have our 4th brand, which is RSA Security. So that's the way the Federation is set up, and it's designed to give customers best-of-breed capabilities, but also choice. One sentence summary for the Federation: innovation in the business model, innovation in technology that lets customers innovate in their industries.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing this morning? Hi, I'm Chad. I'm looking forward to the discussion today. Thank you to Canalys and everybody here for being partners. In fact, that's the most important thing to say first. Thanks to all of the distributors, all of the partners that are here across APJ, and many of you are global as well. We've had a great 2014 so far, a very exciting Q4, and wait till you see what we have in store for 2015. It's going to be a fun time, and we're going to do it together. So thank you very much for your partnership with us. Now, trying to do something like this in a TED-style talk is a challenge. And a challenge can be fun, and I'm going to try to make this fun. I'm going to convey a lot of information, 30 slides, 30 slides, but they will auto-forward every 20 seconds. So that means that for sure, in 10 minutes, this will be done. What do you say? If this is no net, it could go horribly, right? So, without further ado, Pekka Kucha style, our strategy in a nutshell. So everywhere I travel around the globe, we're finding that our customers are building new applications in new ways against new PaaS models, against new data sets. These are third platform applications built with no infrastructure resilience. However, those are a small proportion of their existing applications that support the vast majority of how their business operates today. And this is a huge challenge for our customers. The way the Federation is constructed is to try to tackle both of these worlds, to bridge our customers as they navigate between these two domains. One, Platform 2 is the bulk of their business and the bulk of your business, and Platform 3 are the new applications that are driving innovation. To do this, it's very challenging because basically you have Pets, applications that are built to be named, cared, loved, and when they fail, everyone rushes to help them. Those are the ones in blue. And you have cattle, applications that are Platform 3 applications that are designed that when something fails, you shoot it and replace it. These are two very different domains, and we don't think that the technologies that we've developed over 20 years can be applied to both domains equally. Now, to do this, EMC Information Infrastructure, the David Goulden part of the company, we feel like we need to bring best-of-breed technologies across the entire spectrum. And together, you, along with us and our partners like Cisco and Microsoft and many others, have become the market share leaders in all of those categories. But as you heard from David Goulden and from Pat Gelsinger, increasingly our customers are telling us they don't want to assemble infrastructure. They want to drive business outcomes faster, and converged infrastructure is growing faster than anything else, with vBlock in the lead for integrated infrastructure and vSpec for a reference architecture assembled by our partners. Now, in 2014, we had a very busy year. We launched and then updated our software-defined strategy, launched the #1 all-flash array, updated the high-end, updated a whole software suite. The industry-leading $4 billion portfolio of VNXs went through a refresh. And we gained huge share in scale-out NAS, all of those domains. But one place that's been very interesting has been the emergence of Flash. Flash is extremely disruptive, low level, but very disruptive. If I said to you, you could have 100 petabit per second Ethernet for the same price as 10 gig E, would it be compelling? The answer would be yes. That's what Flash is relative to magnetic media. It's a huge fundamental disruptor at a low level that enables a new business value proposition. And in 3 quarters, we went from being a non-entrant in the all-flash business to a $500 million run rate with Extreme I/O, the #1 all-flash array by a huge margin. The next closest player is half that revenue and growing much more slowly. So again, that's been done through the partners and with our channel, so thank you. But we think that there's a new way that Flash is going to be used. Every disruptive technology, like Ethernet and TCP/IP in the 20-year-ago time frame, and now this goes through a big disruptive change where it creates new opportunities. And the next chapter for Flash is not storage arrays. This is something that's a little confusing. It's in-memory databases. As people want to build the most high-end, high-performant transactional systems in the world that do hundreds of millions of transactions per second, they don't do it on a relational database. They don't do it on Oracle. They do it on an in-memory database. Things like SAP HANA, things like Gemfire, things like Redis, things like Couchbase, things like MongoDB. We think that this is going to enable, in 2015 and 2016, new architectures that are focused on rack-scale flash, things that are designed to be this big and do 20 to 50 million IOs per second, but they won't present as a LUN, a disk device. They'll present as memory, as non-volatile memory extensions. They'll present as HDFS. And we think that this is an extension of this philosophy that we have that says we need to introduce the best foundational technologies across this spectrum. From, at one end, hybrids, all-flash arrays, which is a huge near-term revenue opportunity for everybody here in the room, but also these new disruptive applications that are being built around in-memory databases. And we acquired a company called DSSD to do that last year. Now, however, as disruptive as that is, the other end of the spectrum is as interesting. Anyone who says that the world is all flash is delusional. All of the flash manufactured globally is 2% of the information that was created. To Nick's point, the amount of data capacity that's being created around the Internet of Things is mind-blowing. To give you an idea, we have a customer, a single customer that acquires an exabyte of storage from us every quarter. I guarantee everybody here in the room has used this today, right? It's invisible, it's behind the scenes. At that scale, 10 cents per gigabyte price delta translates into hundreds of millions of dollars in cost differential. And what's interesting is if you look at these hyperscale clouds, their deployment model of infrastructure is very disruptive to us and very disruptive to you, which is its commodity white box. That customer doesn't have a lick of EMC blue LED stuff. It's all software on top of commodity hardware. And that's very disruptive, but you have to embrace disruption. The way that we've embraced disruption is we've become overnight the leader in the software-defined storage category. This is not cloud washing existing products. You cannot take an existing product and turn it into something that's software-defined. This is a storage stack and suite of capabilities that can be deployed on existing infrastructure and on commodity platforms. It has 3 components. The first part of this technology, called Viper, is an abstraction layer across existing and emerging storage models. This can be deployed for existing infrastructure on-prem, not just EMC, but others. And like our friends at Cisco, we think that this ecosystem has to be open. It can never be closed. The second part is data services, so block capability, HDFS, NAS capabilities that can be deployed on top of commodity hardware platforms, as well as existing investments that customers have, that idea of a bridge between 2 worlds. Now, one interesting domain is things like OpenStack, vSphere, Hyper-V. They all have a requirement for something transactional. These are block capabilities. We have a customer, Swisscom, that is deploying this Viper block capability on top of commodity platforms, running tens of thousands of VMs, all on white boxes. Again, disruptive to ourselves, but again, you have to embrace disruption, otherwise it'll roll right over you. The other capability that's critical here, and we're emphasizing this over and over and over again to you, our ecosystem, we believe that HDFS is the fundamental substrate of the data fabric, the new way of actually storing and persisting information. But it will be a spectrum. It won't be one size fits all. At cloud scale, you have things like software object stores, and at the other end, you have things like DSSD. We know that customers expect that when the federation works together and they choose the federation all together, things like Viper have to bolt right into the vRealize suite and vCloud Air. In fact, vCloud Air's object store uses our Viper object store. But we also know that the ecosystem is more important than any one company, a philosophy that we share with Cisco. And so we've also been investing heavily in OpenStack, in Juno, which is the release that is now the mainline release, and Kilo, which is the next release. In fact, this week is the OpenStack Summit in Paris, investing a ton. And we also acquired a company to accelerate our own OpenStack strategy, but also investing in Azure. Strange, embracing something which is both a partner and a competitor. Now, I would wager that you do not associate the word freely available with EMC. This software-defined storage model has to be an open ecosystem. And actually, the software-defined storage layer is available for anyone to go and download at no cost. This open source model is transforming everything as well. Now, we've been doing this for several months, and we found almost universally a common trend. We'd go to the customer and say, we're building a cloud scale infrastructure. They say, I want it to be independent of hardware. We say, absolutely. They immediately turn around and go, what hardware should I deploy it on? And we go, well, you wanted it decoupled. Many of them said, we'd like you to bundle commodity hardware together with this software cloud scale deployment. And this is actually what Elastic Cloud Storage that we GA'd on October the 28th. The first customer of this, is a very interesting customer, is the Vatican, who is using this to digitize all of the information that's in the Vatican library. Fascinating example and a really cool customer to visit. The idea behind this is really to have the first cloud scale storage that is complete. So it's not just one protocol or another, it's the whole broad suite of protocols, including ones that are open, supporting things like S3, so you can have that plug-in, or Swift, into the intercloud model. But it also can be deployed on-premise. And in fact, this on-premise versus off-premise debate is a delusion. As Nick said, and this is, again, something that as great partners we believe together, it's not one or the other, it's both. The public cloud enterprise opportunity is actually smaller, but growing at a faster CAGR, which will be about brokering of services and providing policy-based SLAs. But the real revenue is around helping our customers deploy enterprise clouds and hybrid cloud models quickly on-premise. And as of last week, we updated the solution around this that uses both the VMware stack for customers that want the federation approach, but also OpenStack, and in Q1 we'll be launching a version of this that uses Azure and SCOM and Hyper-V. In the federation example, when a customer says, I want to deploy a hybrid cloud quickly and easily, we go, it's easy. There's a formula and a deployment model. You can deploy it in this fashion. It can use public clouds, common API model, and the fastest way to deploy it is a converged infrastructure stack. We can get you up and running in 30 days or less. After that, you can provision in minutes. And there you have it. In 10 minutes, the whole thing wrapped up in a nutshell. Simple, easy, clear. Now, since I did it in 10 minutes, before Alistair and Nicole come up, I do want to talk about one other thing. This idea of the storage ecosystem that I just described is a part, actually a small part, of a bigger thing that's going on. The bigger thing that's going on is this picture. Does anyone here have a Tesla, just out of curiosity? Nick, I'm in line right behind you. No one else? They're so cool. So the question is a Tesla a new kind of car, or is it a new kind of car company? I think the more disruptive element of Tesla is a new kind of car company, a whole new value chain and ecosystem. Why the heck did Google buy Nest for $3.2 billion? Answer that you heard from Nick is from the information that is being gathered. That's why it's worth. They didn't want a thermostat company, right? The GE example is fascinating. GE is all in, $24 trillion in, and in fact was one of the investors in Pivotal. The common thread of all of these things, and that's a GE turbofan engine that's inside a Boeing 777. I flew on one of those from Toronto out here to Shanghai, and what a beautiful city. Really amazing. The weather's fantastic. I've been enjoying myself for the last 2 days. That engine generates 4 terabytes of data on the flight from Toronto to Shanghai. The engine itself costs $60 million, but the lifetime service contract is worth $120 million. And therefore, if they're able to just tweak marginally how they can analyze the data that came from that engine, not just at the point where it lands, but over time, that fundamentally changes their business model. And obviously, GE has so many lines of business that's impossible. They're building a giant data lake and new analytics engine for all of their businesses. The common thread to all of these are Platform 3 architectures, applications that are built like cattle, not pets, using architectural models that are not the normal traditional enterprise model, but they enable whole new disruptive business models. That's why this idea of the way that the leaders, David Goulden, Pat Gelsinger, and Paul Moritz, were describing the federated set of companies. In that little video, those videos often you wonder, like, are those real places or are they all just actors? The scene where there were people all coding is actually the Pivotal Labs location in San Francisco. Believe it or not, the Federation has built modern applications that you all use that have been downloaded more than 400 million times. Not what you would associate, certainly, with the EMC brand, but you can see that this modern structure, a unique innovation in how we're structured as a company, means that these are all independent entities, so they can partner openly and move quickly inside the whole ecosystem, but are linked together strategically. What does that mean? We think that it means a change in partner programs. Fundamentally, you are here as our partners, our distribution partners, and our reseller partners, and our service provider partners. None of you, I've been having lots of dialogues over the last 24 hours. We had our partner advisory board for our EMC partners in APJ just before this. None of you are the same. Everyone has got a slightly unique business model. Every one of you fits into one or more of these categories. We think that we've got to innovate around our business partner program as much as our technologies and our company structure. And that's why we've changed the model to say it can span, it can be a singular program across the span of the federated set of companies, or you can participate in one or in more, because again, it is about an ecosystem. No one company, I completely agree with Nick, no one company can somehow drive this. What we can do through Metcalfe's law together is greater than what we can do individually. Ultimately, if there's one takeaway that you take from this is, wow, Chad hit the mark, 10 minutes, that's incredible. No? I know it's a little early in the day, perhaps, and people's coffee hasn't sunk in. No, but in all seriousness, if there's one takeaway that you leave, it's this. It's that we're providing a vehicle for great innovation. We're providing it in a model where there's total flexibility and choice. We know that there's no way to force our vision on everybody, but we do have a very clear vision of where this market is going. It is about both Platform 2 and 3, and the architectures both at the application stack, the infrastructure stack, the consumption stack are not the same in all of those. that we are shifting very much towards a solutions and services orientation as a company. Near term, your tactical opportunities are around things like Extreme I/O. Again, tons and tons of our partners have had huge success in APJ just around that. But the services orientation around helping our customers build clouds is really the huge opportunity for all of us. And not just on-prem clouds, which is the bulk of the revenue, but these hybrid models that we're all striving for. And then the last thing is that I think it's important to note that while we're here to help you build the second platform, the infrastructure to support pets, SAP landscapes on Oracle databases with rich data services and policy for protection, we're also here to help you and your customers build new Platform 3 applications, which are designed to scale, are designed to assume no infrastructure resiliency, and are built for the cloud in the first place. It's not an or, it's an and. So thank you very much once again, and Alistair and Nicole, please come up on stage. Please ask questions and don't be shy. I'm very friendly. Thank you, Alistair.
Thank you, Chad.
Nicole, thank you.
Very impressive, the autopilot delivery. No room for pilot error on that.
There's no net, right? So,
let me ask you a quick question based on what you just said. EMC has been engaging globally with the channel. How important is the channel in Asia to your success?
So my role is a global one, which is fun to meet people from all around the world. Each one of the 3 theaters for us are very different. The channel's important in all of them. It is more important in APJ than anywhere else. 80% of our revenues flow through the channel in APJ. You've got such wide variation between markets in Greater China, in Southeast Asia, and ANZ. The only way to, A, have reach, being very pragmatic, like we cannot cover the opportunity, and B, the degree of local variation in both business, technology consumption, language, and culture, which is a beautiful thing, is greater than it is anywhere in the world. And that translates into huge opportunity for everybody here in the room. And by the way, that is increasing year over year over year. We're not quite at 84%, I think was the Cisco example, but our business here in APJ, 80% it's the lifeblood of our APJ market.
Okay. I think there are some issues with the Wi-Fi, but we are trying to fix them as quickly as possible. Please keep submitting your questions. We do have some already submitted. And this kind
All questions are inbounds. Ask anything.
Absolutely, ask anything. Chad said it. Let's take the first one. What's the future of VCE? We've seen some recent news announcements around that.
So it's a great question. If you were sitting in the EMC executive boardroom and listening in onto the dialogue, what you'd hear us saying is converged infrastructure is the future of infrastructure. Whether it's something that we do or somebody else does, that will be, today it's a small part of the overall IT spend, but when VCE and vBlock is a $2 billion success run rate, growing at 50% CAGR for 7 quarters in a row, you know you're doing something right. If that's going to be the future of all converged infrastructure, we need to be able to do more and even faster. VCE has now been brought in as a part of EMC. Previously, it was a joint venture that was a standalone business entity that we would annually fund between Cisco, EMC, with a small part of VMware and Intel. Our view is that we need to accelerate VCE and vBlock. One thing that I want to be very, very categorical about, and this is a little bit of insider, but it's good to be transparent with our partners in our ecosystem. This translates into a material part of the Cisco UCS and Nexus business. Again, if you think about this, people wonder about alliances and strategies and how those things work. In the end, customers drive demand. Currently, vBlock is driving $2 billion worth of net demand and is a huge portion of Cisco's UCS and Nexus business growing. Not the only one, not by a long shot, but it's a huge part of it. On an annual basis, we buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of UCS and Nexus, previously into VCE as an entity, now EMC into an entity, which get manufactured and turned into engineered systems as vBlocks. That will not change, period, full stop, end of story. You don't break something that is working. And Cisco's investment into this model, again, even though it's part of EMC, 10% of the funding model of that operations is a demonstration of ongoing commitment.
So what you're saying is there's no plan to go for alternative hardware platforms?
Correct. Now, if you read the press announcements very closely, EMC believes that converged infrastructure will come in multiple forms. One form is vBlock, which is the dominant way to accelerate infrastructure for hybrid clouds built for pets. There's a different architecture, which is the architecture which uses a lot more of commodity componentry in all of the elements of the stack underneath OpenStack, which is how people want to build converged infrastructure for cattle. There's another domain of converged infrastructure, which are small-scale modular building blocks. In other words, things that have entry points that are small, 2U, 100K USD, and there's a market for that. It's smaller than the vBlock style market, but it's impossible today to build a vBlock that is smaller than a rack, really, and it's impossible to build one that's smaller than $300,000 US. Not because the technology isn't great, it's great, but there are many customers that have sites that have less than 1,000 kind of VMs at smaller scale, and we look at it and go, VCE is 2,000 people that for the last 5 years have been building and deploying converged infrastructure for more customers than anyone else. That skill set, while the vBlock will always be the current formulation, we think that there's adjacent converged infrastructures that we can accelerate into the marketplace. So stay tuned. Obviously, there's stuff that we're working on that front.
Okay. Nicole, do you want to take the next one?
So another Chinese question. Will EMC sell vCloud Air in China?
So China Telecom signed on as a vCloud Air partner. So short answer is yes. And again, I want to be really clear on the topic of vCloud Air. We currently are hovering around 50,000 to 100,000 VMs on vCloud Air across all 3 theaters at any given time. Customer adoption has been great. It's really designed to be a great public cloud choice for when customers have the VMware stack on-prem. But we also know that we have to have an open ecosystem. So our service provider ecosystem, many of which are here, spent a lot of time talking with the Data team, who are a huge intercloud partner. We know that we have to support the whole ecosystem across the breadth of APJ. But short answer to the question is yes, China Telecom has signed up to be a vCloud Air partner.
Is that the extent of EMC's public cloud ambitions then?
Yeah, it's in our partner advisory board, it was fascinating. We had some customers, some partners that said, we want you to become a cloud service provider. And then we had other partners equally vocally say, no, don't ever become a cloud service provider. So short answer is yes. There's no current plan for a broader ecosystem than vCloud Air for that use case. And obviously partnering with Cisco on intercloud around the whole ecosystem for people who want to do it that way.
Okay. Next one changes tack slightly. What is the role of a solutions distributor in the new EMC world? There
is one skill set. So my family at EMC, my brothers and sisters, are all the SEs. There's about 4,000 SEs around the globe. They're a great team. And if you extend our services organization, there's another roughly 15,000 people out there. The one skill set that is the most precious is the ability to build a cloud. We've made it extremely cookie cutter with the enterprise hybrid cloud solution for VMware, for OpenStack, and like I said in Q1 for Microsoft, to go, boom, you can be up and running very quickly, and the fastest way to do it is converge. Check. However, when you get into a customer environment, they go, I want that, but I also want to broker these other services. I have a third-party IT service management workflow that's part of this process. That requires an incredible skill that I haven't seen exist in any single vendor, period. I think that the ability to have that skill set and assembly and integration with northbound stacks is a huge opportunity for everybody here in this room, number one. Number two, we share the philosophy of our great partner Cisco around brokering and cloaking of services. The ability for this ecosystem to be the eye of the needle, a great quote from Nick, is a perfect visual to go and say the value of this ecosystem is you are the trusted partner of the customers. The reason why you're such a huge part of the go-to-market in APJ is you are the trusted partner. We're there, in essence, to support. If you can be the broker of those IT services, that's a huge opportunity for everybody. And I think for distribution, one thing that's interesting is we're seeing them pick up the value of rapid cloud integration and go-to-market. as we introduce that new converged infrastructure offer for the small, the distributors who are here in the room have an enormous opportunity because they actually are the value chain of assembly.
And very, very short answer, do you think the distributors that are there yet? I mean, it's difficult because each is different, but...
They're wildly different. In our discussions with them, we're going, you realize that this changes you from a distributor to, in fact, kind of an OEM. And when we ask them, what do you want? Like, what do you aspire for? They say, yes, I would like that. And, you know, whether you're a customer or a partner or a distributor, when you say, this is what we're thinking, what do you think? And they say, yes, that means you're on the right path.
Right. Okay.
By the way, everybody, thank you very much for paying attention and listening. We've got a great breakout session right after this, so please join us in EMC's breakout, and please check out the booth, and frankly, come and grab and ask me any question you'd like. I'd love to talk to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Chad.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alistair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.